What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Full Throttle Auto. My name is Harris, and today we're working on the 9th Gen Accord again. We're actually going to be doing axles in this video. Let's get to it. All right, real quick look at what I got here. So I went with Duralast. I got both the passenger and the driver's side axles, and I mean, nothing to it. It's the Cena axle, all the same. There you go. Feels pretty solid. Very thick axle, thicker than I want to remember than my SRT used to have. We're going to get to installing these. It's going to be my buddy and I. You guys have seen him before. So without any further ado, let's get into it.
As always, you're going to want to make sure to check the back wheels, jack up the car, and put jack stands under the car. Make sure it's properly on there and sturdy. We chose to start with the driver's side, but it doesn't really matter on which side you start.
Yeah.
You're going to want to undo the dimple within the axle nut to be able to remove it. And then we used an impact gun to try to remove the nut, but that didn't work. So we tried an even bigger one that had more force. That didn't work. We tried a lot of heat with some penetrating fluid and then using the big gun, and that didn't work. And finally, we ended up using a breaker bar with using the jack handle to help have more leverage, and finally we're able to remove this nut. After finally getting the axle nut off, we removed the retaining pin for the nut on the ball joint, and removed, of course, the nut off the ball joint, and then tried to tap on the control arm while forcing with a pry bar to get the ball joint to pop out. We also put the nut back on the ball joint and tapped on the nut to try to force it out, but still it was not working. We also used the jack to force up the ball joint while we were tapping on the control arm and prying with the pry bar, and that also didn't work. Ultimately, we ended up disconnecting the coilover from the hub assembly to get this axle removed. We used a jack to make sure the bottom of the assembly is supported so nothing gets pulled up too much. Now, normally the coilover trick is not something you would use with a stock suspension, just because you wouldn't have enough room with the stock suspension to do this. And then we were able to finally get the axle out of the hub assembly. Now, to get the axle out of the actual transmission, we ended up using a pry bar to pry it out. It does take a lot of force to finally get it out. Now, as you can see, this particular axle was completely rusted, and the ends were definitely extremely loose, causing the vibration I was feeling. To put in the new axle, just slowly input the shaft for the transmission first. Make sure to give it some force that you will need to do to pop it in.
Literally by feel. There you go. Got it.
And then, of course, put the other end within the hub assembly. Before putting on the nut, go ahead and connect the assembly to the coilover and connect everything back up. And you can go ahead and put the axle nut back onto the axle. And of course, we made sure we put the dimple back into the axle nut so it doesn't come out. From what I found online, the torque specs for the axle nut is 250 foot-pounds. We weren't able to do it by hand, so we ended up just using an impact gun to get it on there to our satisfaction. Once the driver's side was done, then we go ahead and did the same process on the passenger side.
Sometimes they're vegetables. Got it.
Told you did.
Yes, I did. Pull it.
Brother.
Pull it. Thank you. I got it.
Come on out.
I'm gonna get it better on though.
What?
Good?
And of course, after everything was done, we ended up taking the car out for a drive just to make sure that the issue we were experiencing, the vibration, was actually fixed. And it was.
Look, dude, this is how dangerous this shit is. Right next to my house, walking distance. That's dangerous. Rosati's literally just another 4 minutes that way on Gary. Smooth like butter. Smooth like butter.
There you go.
That's it for this one. I'm super happy with the job we did with the axles. Everything's great. We took it for a drive. We gave it, some gas. Really the biggest time you noticed the axle issue that I was having was when you were anywhere between 3rd and 6th and you were around 60 trying to climb up, and it stopped around 80 or 90, but it was there. It was a vibration, and no, the coilovers didn't cause this. This was just a bad axles. The axles rusted out just like the the recall, I guess, that Honda has on axles. But apparently my VIN number wasn't part of their recall. So I don't care, honestly, personally. I'd rather have done it myself, so I'm super happy that we did. And plus, this way I get you guys a video seeing how you can do it yourself if you don't have a warranty, or your car doesn't fall under the recall too. If you're wondering what the extra bit on the axles of the stock axles is in the middle of it, from what I understand, that's like a counterweight to help with vibration, any other vibration that might happen from the axles. Supposedly that's supposed to dampen it, anything like that. But right now, from the new axles don't have that, and I'm not feeling any kind of vibration. So we'll see what happens when obviously we continue to drive it over time, and if it does end up changing and I do end up noticing some kind of vibration. But right now it drives like new, and I'm super excited that I've done this. And I know a lot of people end up asking me, why did I not go OEM axles? Why would I? I mean, they already had an issue from the factory. Honda decided that was a thing. Granted, not my car, not my VIN number is part of that issue. But regardless, they've had issues from the factory. So that's evidence right there that the factory doesn't necessarily do everything right. So even if I did, let's say, get OEM axles, who's to say they did it right again, right? Or they didn't do it right again. Regardless, Duralast has a limited lifetime warranty. What that means, as long as it's the issue with the axles and it's not because you decided to jump a curve or you slammed your car or anything like that, they'll cover it. So at the end of the day, if one of these axles goes back, I just take it off, take it to my local AutoZone, which I have one right down the road, and swap them out, get a new one. So that's pretty much why. It's very little that I'll go OEM. The only thing that I do OEM is the transmission fluid. That's because everybody everybody, even technicians that are no longer with Honda will tell you, don't try to use any other transmission fluid except a Honda transmission fluid. But anything else really is a go for me. So to me, I don't care to use OEM products. I don't need to use OEM products. I've had plenty of success with non-OE or OEM products. So at the end of the day, these are gonna work. I'm perfectly fine. And right now it drives, like I said, it drives like new. It's been a while since I've had it drive this nicely, and it feels really good. So I'm super excited. It is what it is. I hope it helped you guys out. If it did, make sure to hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. I release a bunch of these kind of videos. Once again, I'm not a professional. All the things I do here is just because I'm an enthusiast. I love working on my own cars, and I like fixing my stuff. I don't trust dealers. I don't trust mechanics. So if I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it myself, or me and my buddy are gonna do it, as you guys saw today. It was definitely good to have an extra set of hands. All the instructions I'm giving you are how I did things. That doesn't mean they're right. It just happens to be how me and my buddy did it, and it worked. At the end of the day, those steps worked, and we were able to do it. But really, that's it for this video. There's really nothing else to say. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.